Welcome to the 100 Times Live Show. My name's Steven Skinner, and I've got a question for you today. Can you dance like a warrior? Do you feel good enough physically, mentally, and emotionally to dance? Huh? Do you come alive? Do you feel alive on God's great dance floor? See, that's the story of today's verse of the day. And you see on here this screen, it looks a little bit different than looking at my ugly face sitting in front of a mirror after a workout, right? That's my question for you today. Can you dance like a warrior? Now, this one is probably geared more for men, but hey, women, it's going to be good for you as well. So I want you to pay attention to this. And before I read it, I want you to understand who I'm talking about today. And the story of today's verse of the day comes from something I actually wrote about in my book, The 100 Times Life, in the praise chapter. And I read this a couple of years ago. It was really eye-opening. I just love this story, okay? And before I read it, I want you to understand who this guy was. This guy that this story is talking about was a warrior. This guy, he killed lions and bears. He literally killed a giant. You know who I'm talking about. He fought and he killed thousands of people. And he's not afraid to make a tough decision when he needs to with God's guidance. And if God tells him to do it, he does it and he doesn't ask questions. So this guy is no pansy at all. So here's the verse of the day. And I've got actually 3 or 4. And it comes from the book of 2 Samuel, and it's chapter 6, verses 5, 14, 21, and 22 from the Good News translation. And it said, David and all the Israelites were dancing and singing with all their might to honor the Lord. They were playing harps, lyres, drums, rattles, and cymbals. David, wearing only a linen cloth around his waist, danced with all his might to honor the Lord. And then his wife ended up kind of chastising him about it. And he answered her. It says, I was dancing to honor the Lord, who chose me instead of your father and his family to make me the leader of his people, Israel. And I will go on dancing to honor the Lord, and I will disgrace myself even more. So as I said earlier, this guy's no pansy. In fact, he is a warrior. I mean, he literally has killed a lot of people in battle. So mentally and emotionally, this guy was comfortable enough in his own skin to literally dance in the streets. And the reason why is he knew whose opinion of him mattered. And he had such a relationship with God that was really who he cared about. He didn't really care about the opinion of others. And when you can get to that point, you can experience a lot of freedom in your life. And unlike his predecessor, Saul, he didn't take himself too seriously. That was kind of Saul's downfall. He took himself too seriously. And you don't need to either. So I want you to go ahead and make fun of yourself. And you know why? Because everybody else is already. That is probably a fact. So do you feel comfortable enough to dance in the streets mentally and emotionally? And if you want more on that, you ought to listen to my podcast episode 22. It's called Relax, You're Not That Important. And I've got a link to it here in the notes for you to check out. This story here immediately makes me think of the awesome video I was playing as we started. I hope you could hear it okay. It's Chris Tomlin singing at the Passion Conference, and he's singing God's Great Dance Floor. It is an awesome video. I encourage you to watch it. If you're down, that will really get you encouraged and really pumped up for the day. And see, these words are so true from that song and worth putting into practice. And the words say, from the song says, I feel alive, I come alive, I am alive on God's great dance floor. And that story from 2 Samuel just makes me think of that. I don't know if that's what Chris Tomlin had in mind when he wrote the song, if he wrote the song, or whoever wrote the song, but that's what it makes me think of. My question to you today is, and my challenge is, do you feel alive? Do you feel well enough to even do this physically? Could you dance through the streets like David if you wanted to? Could you? See, my wife and my daughters, they love the show Dancing with the Stars. And sometimes as I'm walking through the room or whatever, I'll stop and watch some of the athletes. Like recently, my man, my Auburn guy, my Cubs guy, David Ross, who was on there. And one thing you quickly find out by watching these athletes and watching these people who aren't dancers by profession is how hard it is to dance. Physically, just the routines, it's a very hard thing to do. And I want to ask you, do you ever dance? Do you ever take time to dance, to celebrate before the Lord like David? I do. Usually I do it in my basement after a workout, if I'm listening to a song like that and I get pumped up. And it is so energizing to do that. And you really get a win for the day. But I want to know, how long could you last? How long could you make it dancing like that, like it's in this video? And are you doing the things on a daily basis so you can dance, maybe with your kids or even your spouse? Or are you tired all the time? I used to be, but now I can hang with them. Do you constantly feel exhausted and drained? And are you waking up tired? Are you struggling throughout your day? And are you counting the hours until you crawl into bed at night? I know how you feel if that's you very well, because I used to struggle with that as well, with fatigue, with mood, weight, blood sugar swings for years. And it was hard. I know. And I like the focus in my work and the energy to fully enjoy my life, especially outside of work. I just didn't have anything left for my family. And I was just getting by while I was dealing with this intense work schedule. And see, at the time, I thought it was normal, and I thought it was just a side effect of being super busy. But I eventually learned that I could be busy, productive, and still have plenty of energy. And I surveyed you guys recently, and I thank you for your responses. But a lot of you said that was a big thing you were struggling with, was more energy, feeling stronger. And I had people that said things like, what specific steps do I need to take to increase my energy? And how do I find the time to lose weight? Well, believe it or not, you can control your energy levels. And they're within your power to do so. And you may think that you're just set to live forever with low energy, and it's just part of who you're going to be, but that is not the case. Okay? And there are some ways, more than likely, that you are unknowingly sabotaging your own energy. And this is what I saw with myself, and I see with most of my clients I've worked with and work with. And in the short term, it may be kind of a downer for you to hear this, but you're getting in your own way. But the long term is that this is good news, because it means that your problems are fixable. And I know you want to hear that. So in my next video, because of this and because of your responses on the survey, I'm going to teach you 10 ways you may be unintentionally causing your low energy and how to fix it. 10 things I've got. I wrote them out this morning after doing this. So you can do it. I'm here to help. Stay tuned for the next video where I show you how. Okay? All right, let me pray. Father, help us to live with abandon like David and not really care about so much about what others think about us, but care about what you think. And help us to have that energy physically, mentally, and emotionally. Be strong where we can celebrate and dance and enjoy life to the full, which is what your son Jesus promised when he came. And it's in his name I pray. Amen. All right. Get out there and dance. Don't pull anything. And stay tuned. In a few days, I'm going to release those 10 ways. It'll be a short, quick video. And I hope you enjoy it. If you're looking at the screen, here's the Passion video. And I'm going to put a link to it in the short show notes. All right? See you next time. God bless.